So you want to know some pros and cons about the Upper East Side. Maybe you're thinking about making a move here, and maybe you're just flat out curious because the neighborhoods in New York City are all quite interesting. Well, you're definitely going to want to stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to highlight 5 pros and 5 cons that you definitely need to know. And at the very, very end, I'm also going to give you a little bit of insight on what the real estate looks like here, from 1-bedroom apartments to a huge townhouse worth $20 million. So definitely stick around to the end and you'll be in for a special treat. Hey, if this is your first time to this channel and you want to see inside some amazing apartments, or you want unique neighborhood guides of New York City, I give the pros and cons, I take you to the most amazing restaurants, I will highlight anything that you want to see and hear, so be sure to drop a comment. But before you do that, subscribe and click the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know when a new video hits. My name is Michael Holt. I'm a real estate agent with Living New York, right here at Compass in New York City. I help people move all the time that reach out to me from YouTube, my blogs, whether their move-in time frame is 9 or 90 days. I'd love to hear from you. So if you are thinking about making a move, shoot me a text, give me a call, send me an email, we can Zoom. All the contact information is below in my channel. I would love to hear from you. And if you're not looking to move and you really want to see inside some cool apartments, like I said, or some unique tours of the city, hey, I'm gonna love showing you around. Okay, so time for the pros and cons of the Upper East Side. Now remember, the Upper East Side is pretty large. I would say it's very comparable to the Upper West Side in size, except it goes from, same thing about 59th Street, but as far as north goes, the Upper East Side kind of cuts off at 96th, except for a little area called Upper Carnegie Hill, but I don't want to get too technical with you. I am going to go very in-depth about the Upper East Side in a different video. I want to stick to the pros and cons here. One of the very first things I do want to highlight are the shops and restaurants. That is a huge pro about the Upper East Side. They have international cuisine, I mean the best of the best. And quite frankly, it's from the avenues. Majority of all of your restaurants and shops, first of all, are going to be on the avenues. The streets themselves are more of the residential apartments kind of feel. But it's not always. Every now and then you'll find like a cute restaurant during this, off the street, but a lot of them are going to be found on the avenues. This is especially true for shopping. Madison Avenue is one of the best areas for shopping. You have some of the flagship stores like Ralph Lauren, very big brand names are on there. So if you want to do some really awesome high-end shopping, Madison Ave is a sure must. But if you want to also know a few of my favorite restaurants, I'll drop them in the description below. You have everything from some of my favorite Italian restaurants here to also even coffee shops. You can't really go wrong here if you're looking for the food scene and shopping scene in the Upper East Side. Definite pro. All right, another thing that could be a con, again, depending on your interest, is the nightlife. If you're really looking to go clubbing, dancing especially, Upper East Side is just not going to be the primary choice with a ton of options. You're mainly going to find, you'll find your Irish pubs, on your certain avenues. You'll find even one of New York's actually very few cigar lounges. It's called Macanudo's. Very cool, very exclusive place, but it is open to the public. That's a fun fact if you do like to smoke a cigar. But yeah, you have some options. You have some options for jazz, things of that nature, but you're not going to have a huge abundance. It is not known for its nightlife, so that would be a con if you're into that sort of thing. Time for your second pro about the Upper East Side. That is definitely going to be parks. Your Central Park, I mean, that one is obvious. It's incredible. So having Central Park as your front yard, I mean, is just amazing. But they do have other parks, and especially one that is often overlooked. It's called Schurz Park. Schurz Park is an awesome little park. It's more in the Upper East section of the Upper East Side. It's also where Gracie Mansion is, but it's a very dog-friendly park. There's a lot of people, especially locals there on the weekends, just enjoying themselves. So definitely parks and greenery is your second pro. Okay, so while we're on the topic of real estate, that's actually one of the slight cons, is just your choices. And what I mean by that, there is a building type that's called a co-op. Pretty much, it's very similar to owning a condo, right? You have an apartment, and I do have a full explanation on what exactly a co-op is and the pros and cons of them as well that you're gonna wanna check out. However, as far as the cons go, co-ops, they basically, in a nutshell, wow, that was a very loud truck. Oh my God. I'm shooting outside. One of the cons of shooting outside, there you go. Now, one of the cons about, really about co-ops is like they have financial requirements and other purchasing restrictions that condos don't have. You wanna buy a condo, you're qualified by a bank and the seller accepts your offer, like you're good to go. But not in a co-op. A co-op has a board that can turn you down if they really want to. So that is definitely one of the challenges about owning a co-op, and there's twice as many of them as condos, so that could be a con depending on your situation. You're definitely going to want to work with a real estate agent to help you navigate the building types, pros and cons of each, and how they're run by each board. Okay, so for the third pro, one of my favorite things about the Upper East Side is it's more of a neighborhood vibes. Like during all the streets that you're gonna see is just majority of either townhouses, which are how New York describes single family residences. Those are the big mansions that you see selling for about $15–20 million. I'd say the very least one you could find is maybe $6 million that needs renovation. So townhouses, AKA single family, sometimes they have the multifamily here, go for a ton of money. But they also have everyday type of apartments, they have rental buildings. It's just more of that community neighborhood vibe that you're gonna find. Tree-lined streets, nice little cafes. It's a super residential vibe that gets you out of the craziness of Midtown. So you're gonna get that neighborhood feel. If you're moving here from the suburbs, that's probably where I would recommend because you can get a little crazy when you work, especially if you work in Midtown or downtown and live there. Oof, Midtown especially, you might want to avoid. Upper East Side, looking for that neighborhood feel, definitely a huge pro there. Okay, so what could be another con, I guess you could say, about the Upper East Side? Again, this is a little bit subjective. It depends on where you have to go, but you could argue that transportation is a con. You have the green line, which is the 456, and you also have the Q for the yellow, and that's it. But the 456 pretty much takes you north and south, while the Q will take you a little bit south, but then also wrap around towards Midtown. It's great to get to, so much honking here. I don't know if you guys heard that, but it's like the Q, I guess, it took years. Originally it was called the 2nd Avenue subway line, and they didn't have it. So all they had was the green line, and it just went north and south. So if you lived in Midtown, it was a huge pain. But now they put the Q line there on 2nd Ave, which is very east for the Upper East Side, which is where a lot of people live, is towards the more eastern side. It gets less and less, I would say, commercial, like residential, restaurants, shops, things like that fade out the more east you go in the Upper East Side, especially after 1st Avenue. But again, during the streets, it's going to be all that residential apartment feel. So now they have this subway line on 2nd Avenue that people can hop in and take them down to Midtown. So it's not terrible. But again, transportation could be better. Obviously, if you're living in Financial District or Midtown, you have like every color of the subways there are. So that could be a con that I would highlight. All right, so another pro that I want to highlight are the museums. It's the fun things to do up here. It's just, I love museums personally. The Met is my favorite museum. That is here. The Guggenheim is here. The Frick Museum is here. There are a bunch of museums here. I mean, you know, you got to be like a tourist, I guess you could say, and do those things that when they come here, they have to see them. Like, there's a reason for that. But as a local, when you live here, you go during the week if you can. If you can get out of work, like, do not go on the weekends. It's going to be freaking packed unless you go super early in the morning. If you go like in the afternoon or especially in the morning on a weekday, it's going to be great. So the museums is definitely pro of the Upper East Side. All right, so we have one more pro and one more con left. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a bonus one as well, which is a pro. It compares the cost of living in the Upper East Side compared to downtown. I think you'll find it a fun fact and be quite surprised. But first, let's go to the con side. I wanna tell you that, you know, we're just circling back as far as the co-op experience goes, and I told you there are twice as many of them in the condos, where they are a little bit older. So you're gonna find older apartments here. Now don't get me wrong, you're gonna have some new construction options as well. Some renovated apartments are sure gonna be on the market. But for majority of the stuff, it's what we call pre-war. And I have clients, honestly, that only want pre-war. And that means pre-war is before World War II. So these types of apartments have generally higher ceilings, beam ceilings, mantle fireplaces. It has a lot of character and charm. So if you want something that's modern and floor to ceiling windows with glass and amenities and things like that, that's not going to be as much as your vibe. So that's what you could say is your last con, if you will. So another pro that I can't speak too much about are the schools. Greatschools.org I actually have a couple websites that I'll drop in the description about schools if you want to search for specific grade, things like that. But it's very, very high rated and not a lot of choices in the Upper East Side. My clients say it's a positive. Can't say that they're wrong. I just can't speak so much because of fair housing laws. But I will put some links in the description. You could do your own searching, but that is definitely a pro that I would say, definitely not a con. Okay, so your last pro is the bonus that I was referring to. It's the cost of living. And yes, don't get me wrong, there is some of the most expensive real estate in the world in the Upper East Side. But as a whole, when you're comparing availability to co-ops and condos, because obviously townhouses are very expensive, it's a different category, right? Majority of people are buying these co-ops and condos. And that is actually an average $1.3 million. Sounds like a lot, but compared to downtown, it's $1.6 million. Now, don't get me wrong, I could find you a place for $700,000, gonna be a one bedroom, but again, it is a pro because there's more availability for a lesser price compared to downtown. It's also probably because downtown there are more condos, but we'll get into that a different time. All right, I promised you if you stuck around to the very end that I'm gonna show you a little bit of this real estate, what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna have to head to my office, which is right around the corner. All right, so here's a sneak peek of what some real estate looks like in the Upper East Side. Here is a one bedroom that I wanted to show you. I've selected a 1-bed, 2-bed, 3-bed, a 5-bed that I want to show you, and also a townhouse. I have a mix of co-op and condos. This one here is a 1-bed, 1-bath co-op. Definitely on the expensive side. As you can see, it's about $2 million right here. I'm looking actually via my Compass website. This kind of gives you all information you need to know. One thing I want to point out here about this one is you have to watch, like, some of these buildings, they have minimum down payments that are not your typical. I mean, this one requires 50% down. Now, again, not all co-ops are like this, but this one just so happens to be. It's a nice looking apartment. I mean, it's been renovated. It's really nice, you know, nice. It's pretty nice apartment. It should be for this price as well. But here's some of the pre-war elements I was telling you about. We noticed wood burning fireplace. Now remember, they did renovate this. So you're going to see obviously the quality. This probably wasn't original here, but you know, again, have a fireplace is pretty rare. Notice the beam ceilings as well, the curvature of the lines, the arch in the doorways. That's what I mean about pre-war feel. These are some of the pictures here, and gives you a sense of what a one bedroom looks like. All right. Just in case you're wondering, how much is it a month? Well, co-ops combine your building charges, which if you guys are in out of markets, you call HOA. They combine those and they combine taxes into a one monthly payment called maintenance. And the maintenance for this apartment is about $3,175 a month. All right, and now to show you our two bedroom, I have a two bed, two bath. Now there are a lot of one bath, two bed, one bath apartments. Adding that second bathroom is definitely going to add a lot of money in terms of asking price. This one's $2.5 million. Again, you have very pristine, very pristine location. Anything that's close, the closer to Central Park, they're generally more expensive, but not always true, because you can find very expensive apartments on Park Avenue and even east of Park. It depends, of course, how big and the condition and all of that. But I will say that location, generally the closer to the park, the more expensive it's going to be, which is why you see a $2.5 million apartment, private exclusive to Compass, like to point out, by the way, which means we do have things that may not be on the market, but with that Compass, I want to point out that it is 40% minimum down. It's another one that's a little bit higher. And I will say, remember I told you that co-ops have the different purchasing requirements and restrictions than condos do. This is one of the things, minimum down payment. And a lot of these co-ops are, you guessed it, closer to the park. So it's no shocker that something on Fifth Avenue, which you see right here, which is right in front of the park, is a co-op. The monthly maintenance is just under $3,100 a month. And let's take a look here real quick. As you can see, what's one of the first things you noticed? Fireplace, mantle, beam ceilings. Those are the pre-board vibes, again, that I was telling you about. Look at the windows. You can tell that this broker, they seem taking a picture of this. They do it because it shows that character the apartment has. You know, it's big enough to hold a piano. I mean, that's a big deal in New York City. But you can see here again, these big, wide looking rooms. You have the fireplace mantle, the details in the ceilings. See here, you have a washer dryer inside the apartment. That is super rare for even condos, yet alone co-ops. A lot of the old buildings don't have the plumbing to support them. So the fact that you have one is quite amazing. I know you're thinking, Michael, if I'm spending $2.5 million, I better have one, but it's not exactly the norm. Check out the bathroom. A little dated, huh? So yeah, and if you really want to deep dive one day, I can show you inside floor plans. I can give you kind of like what you need to look for. But this gives you like a sense of what one looks like here in New York. I mean, this is like a very traditional, nice size floor plan. Okay, but let me show you now the 3-bed. Okay, so here's a 3-bed, 2-bath co-op with private outdoor space, only listed for $1,050,000. They just had a price decrease of $300,000. Minimum down payment 25%. All right, getting a little bit better there. Monthly $6,000 a month. That is definitely towards the higher side. Believe it or not, there are there are higher prices. One thing that's pretty cool is that on Compass you can see the property history, including when it had previously sold and all the times it's been on and off the market, when they've had price drops. It looks like here the last time the person bought it, or I'm sorry, when the seller bought it, was in 2014 for almost 125, so $1,250,000. They're asking $1,050,000. If I'm your broker, I'm getting you this for less than $1 million. So you have to ask yourself, why? Well, there's a couple things. I mean, one, the maintenance is on the higher side, sure. The market here is a great time to buy in New York City. Now, let me show you something. I haven't looked at the pictures yet. I really haven't looked at all of them yet. I'm sure that this apartment needs some renovations. It's the biggest time in history, not history, but I'd say a decade high of discount for apartments that need renovations. And I'm actually, to my surprise, this is actually in good condition here. They did show, if you noticed, this photo first because it has private outdoor space, which is super, super rare in New York City. So, here it is. Kitchen is a little dated. It's not terrible though. Gas stove, wine fridge, dishwasher, windowed kitchen, natural light, ventilation. It's not very common. It does need a little updating, but not too bad. You can stain the cabinets. New slab here for sure. New tiling. Kitchens. Kitchens are not cheap to renovate. To renovate like a kitchen and like a bathroom or two is at least going to cost you $100,000, if not more, at least. But again, they bought it for 125 like so many years ago. I mean, this is not a bad looking apartment. Um, Here's one of the bathrooms. It's recently renovated. I mean, this is a very interesting one. So I'm the type of broker that even if you're not an investor, like I always do a value analysis and offer strategy for clients. I mean, this is a good looking part apartment to check out and run numbers because they've got a huge terrace. The condition's not terrible. The owner's taking a massive loss on this. You've got two large primary bedrooms, a home office or a third bed, and three different terraces. I really do like this apartment. I'm going to have to look into the numbers on this and possibly send it to some clients. Okay, now I'm going to show you an awesome looking 5 bedroom, and then I'm going to show you a townhouse, and then I'm going to let you go. All right, so this is a 5 bed, 5 bath for just under $16 million, another private exclusive through Compass. Minimum down payment 10%. You wondering why? Well, yes, condo. Co-ops are always going to ask you to put down 20% at the minimum. Condos, again, it's whatever a bank will give you. You'll notice that they separate the taxes and the common charges. Again, common charges is like out of market's version of HOAs. They're $5,000 a month for the building charges and $4,700 a month for taxes. But again, you're buying a $16 million 5 bed, 5 bath apartment. Yep, right on Fifth Ave, gorgeous location. I mean, look at this shot. I mean, iconic. You see the treetops of Central Park, the gorgeous towers across. I mean, wow. I cannot imagine just hanging out in this living room. I mean, it's quite fantastic. Beautifully done, renovated, stellar looking apartment. And again, to find a condo on Fifth Ave is super rare within itself. Massive floor plan, by the way. Don't worry, I won't walk you through it. Last but not least, here is your townhouse. Check this out. I found one for $11.5 million. And it's nice looking. Taxes are $10,000 a month. You don't have building charges because you own the building. So you just need to, you're gonna have to maintain though the roof and mechanicals and all that jazz yourself. But as you can see on the map here, this is on between 3rd and Lexington and 74th Street. Very, very, very pretty. You have some like this is gorgeous, gorgeous lines here between floor to ceiling window vibes. I mean, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like 7 different panels. Just the curvature and the lines, the crown moldings. You get that pre-war vibe. You see the fireplace mantle here on the left. Really, really, really awesome. This is like the classic New York brownstone type feel. Super, super neat place here. It's been renovated. The kitchen looks gorgeous. There's an overtop view of the garden. If you guys want, I will do a video inside this townhouse or very one similar if that's what you're really looking for, to have some really immersive videos besides me scrolling online and giving you an example. But this townhouse is a nice looking townhouse. I would imagine the width is probably less than your 20-footer because 20 feet is considered a wide and attractive home, and those usually go for a lot of money. And if it's less than 20, especially, I would say below 18, it goes generally for a less price. Let me see. I don't know if they do disclose it. They do say there is 7 beds, 5 baths, and 1 half baths, about 6,700 square feet, which makes you about $1,700 a foot. It's been on the market for a month. Just I highlighted earlier about schools being one of the pros, by the way. Like one thing cool about working with us at Compass is we kind of give that to you all on the map here, as well as your transit options and how far they are. And they give you even the color of here's your green line I was telling you about, here's the yellow. So it's pretty cool, makes everything pretty convenient. And that concludes the video of the pros and cons for the Upper East Side. I hope you found it super informative and hopefully a little bit entertaining. Speaking of which though, if there's something you want me to elaborate on in the videos that I make, maybe it's a certain topic and particularly for this video, maybe it's a pros and con that you want my own video for, whether that be restaurants, museums, whatever it is, drop it in the comment below. And yeah, I'll give it a hard look. I will probably make a video on it. I can't make any promises, you know. No, I'm actually going to do my best. And if I can get access, I will film it and I will show it to you. So there's not a place that I won't go. I've been in New York for 12 years. I know it like the back of my hand, inside and out. I've got recommendations for days. So whatever you're into, whatever you want to see, I will bring you that access and I'll be happy to show it to you. But until then, I'll see you around.